Morning.
Morning, folks. Hi, Robin.
All right.
Kevin, Neil, good to see you.
Morning, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Morning, all.
Everyone's rushing in.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Robin.
How you doing?
Everybody?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all, thanks.
Sorry about
Hey,
this.
everyone.
Oh,
You
Morning, all.
Morning.
question? Anybody know how you get rid of the screen at the back when you put it on?
Morning.
Pass.
No, I put on the background for the meeting the other day, and now I can't.
Robin, go into stop view. Yeah, stop view. Click the arrow up and get rid of your virtual at the back.
Well, it says choose virtual, but
No, go into stop view. Go into click up. Choose virtual background. Press none.
yeah,
No,
Press
it's
none.
saying the audio is not working.
right.
It's
That's
saying
where
you
I'm
can't
stuck. I
connect
can't
to
find
speakers.
anything that says none.
Should be a big black square.
Right. Helps if I scroll up to all the images.
There you go, sir.
there we are.
There you go, sir. Genius.
Dear me. How many months have we been on this lark?
Yeah.
So,
Moving swiftly on. Don't worry, Robin, they'll never notice.
no. I don't really like the back screens, but obviously for some meetings it's more.
I'm Carly. How are you?
Yeah. I've got my Christmas decoration to put on the lamp behind me for December. Yeah, not there yet, but.
Well, I'm doing December beard for Christmas, so I can take up my new role as Father Christmas.
I saw your post earlier on. Yeah.
You're halfway there, Barry.
Morning, all.
I've been for years, Kevin.
Morning, Jan.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, John.
Morning.
Hi.
Couple more seconds. How's the Scottish weather? It's actually fine down here.
It's dreich. Well, where I am, it's dreich. It has been for days.
It's raining constant.
I think that must be one of my favourite Scottish words, actually. Dreich.
It just sums up the mood perfectly.
It does.
I always got confused when I first went to live in Scotland. When I was used to say, "Where'd you stay?" I say, "I don't stay anywhere. I live."
Yeah.
Right then. Yep. I think we've got. It's 10 o'clock. Let's start. Well, at least we've had some good news in the past 2 weeks since we last met. Some vaccines coming through. Obviously, going to take time to filter through, but it bodes well for anything after Easter next year, I think. So, how are people coping with the lockdowns and the restrictions? Is Scotland? Where I hear some of them have gone in and won't come out until later than England. Is that right?
That's a fair assessment, Robin. Scotland very much is embracing a regional level now. So the
Just one sec. I'm going to just a sec. Just 1 second. Just a sec.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah.
Serious feedback we were getting there. Yeah, Scotland now has the five level system in place across the country based upon local authority regions. So we could potentially have something like 20 odd different scenarios across the country. The current position is that where I am in the kind of west coast in the Glasgow area, City of Glasgow, the central region, Ayrshire and Stirlingshire is currently in level 4, which is the most extreme level, which effectively is the equivalent of the national lockdown that you currently have south of the border in England. Stay at home, work from home, all but essential retail is closed. Pubs, restaurants have been closed for a number of weeks here anyway, and hotels were compelled to close as of Friday night. The east side of the country, Edinburgh up through Fife and the east coast is in level 3, which is kind of the equivalent of level 3 in England. We do have some areas in Scotland, you know, a bit of promising news in the very far north, out in the Western Isles and in Orkney and Shetland. They're in level 1 restrictions, which actually means pubs can open, restaurants can open. The restricted hours are a lot more relaxed than they are elsewhere. So the kind of the consensus north of the border is that if there's the outlying rural areas where virus levels are very low, why should they be in the same restriction levels as, say, in the centre of Glasgow, where we're told infection levels have plateaued, but they've plateaued at a dangerously high level. So that's kind of the situation in Scotland. I think realistically, without sounding a bit too doom and gloom, I think most hospitality operators, especially those in level 3 and level 4, kind of in central and southern Scotland, you can wipe out the winter. Just forget about it. You're probably best, if your business isn't already closed, you're probably best shutting the doors, and Easter will be the benchmark for realistically being able to reopen, when traditionally the tourist season in Scotland kickstarts just ahead of Easter. So that's the situation north of the border, Robin.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard quite a few people down here sort of saying that, yeah, almost write it off until Valentine's Day, really. I'm not sure what other people think, whether there's any hope of some decent Christmas trade, or whether the hotels are stuck now.
I think. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that an important week to consider, and it could be 2 weeks depending on the county, is the February half terms, because people aren't able to travel abroad. I myself and a lot of anecdotally people are looking at that February half term. So if you could have availability open with flexible rates, that would be great, so that people can, you know, dream and plan for that February half term. Because I think for Scotland, a lot of people will want to come up, and if they're allowed to come up, then that would be some dates that are worth looking at.
Mm-hmm. Good advice.
Looking at there's certainly quite a buzz on LinkedIn this morning from agents and venues who have a high proportion of meetings and events business, and but you know, conversations are that the larger events probably won't come in till Q2 next year because of planning, etc., etc. And a lot of corporate clients are looking at 2 options at the minute, both a live face-to-face type 150 plus people, or a hybrid version of that. So, you know, there is a glimmer of hope and quite a lot of confidence bouncing around LinkedIn this morning.
That's good. That's good. Do you think, do we think, now that the furlough has been confirmed through to March, will a lot of hotels sort of just say, well, actually, if they're going to pay the wages, I might as well just close down until sort of like half term time or February time? What's the feeling out there? Since they announced the furlough, has anybody heard of more hotels actually just saying, well, let's just take a break?
I lost 10 Christmas package bookings in this lockdown, so 10 rooms. But I think it's difficult for us, because I think we'll be end up in tier one, and I'm quite confident that's going to bounce back. You know, our New Year's Eve trade, even though we're not doing a party, and that's picking up, and so is the Twix in between. So I'm quite confident that we'll get something, and everyone that cancelled November moved to early December. So I'm quite confident down in Cornwall that we'll be okay. But of course, you know, if not, I think there's some kind of you know, financials that needs to be done to whether it's even worth, you know, if you're going to break even, you know, is it going to be a loss? I'm not quite sure.
Mhm.
I think that's the key point that you mentioned there, Daniel, that cost benefit analysis, I think, is the critical thing to be looking at on a business by business basis. How flexible is your particular business that you can easily open or close. There will be those kind of very short lead opportunities, such as New Year, Valentine's, Mother's Day through the first quarter. All the operators who are on the call this morning, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, we're heading into the 2 worst months of the year for you in terms of January and February. I think, as Robin mentions, with furlough having been extended at least through until March, you probably need, as unwelcome as it might be, you probably need to give quite serious consideration to, do we just use furlough to get through January and February, cut our losses because actually we barely make any profit during that time anyway, and focus on reopening come March, April, pre-Easter, when hopefully there will be a positivity within society in general, because hopefully we'll have seen the start of the vaccine rollout at that period. I think it as much as for us in the UK, and with the exception of kind of the far north of Scotland, seasonal shutdowns are not the norm. It's not what we would normally do. But I think, you know, I don't need to stress we're not in normal times, and probably need to give quite serious consideration to it right now.
Definitely. I mean, it is all about that, isn't it? It's all about weighing up the pros and cons of anything. Some hotels will have probably a higher rent that they just got to figure out how to pay, whereas others will be able to benefit from the furlough and take it through. It's a different thing. One thing that most hotels will eventually still have to do is make sure their clients are happy, make sure that their feedback is coming through well from those guests who have stayed. And so today we've got Joanne, who's going to do a nice little presentation on how to treat our guest feedback.
Can I share the screen? Is it?
Sorry, I'll just flick it on. Oops, well then, flick it. There we go. Should be able to now.
Where is this?
Just down at the bottom, middle. There we go.
Okay. Let me go slideshow. Right. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Robin, for allowing me to present. I'll turn this off today. So I thought I would just start by asking a couple of questions. You don't need to reply, but just to be aware. So, are you losing sales because you're too busy to respond to your reviews? Are you letting generic robotic replies to your reviews damage the reputation you've worked so hard to build? Are you taking the time to engage with your guests and build customer loyalty? So my name is Joanne Green, and I'm the founder of Reviews for You. I've worked in the hospitality industry for over 30 years. I started working in the luxury hotel segment. I worked in a hotel in America called the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, Massachusetts, which if you ever get the chance to visit, you really should. And then I worked at the Milestone Hotel in Kensington in London. And more recently, I worked at Gulliver's Travel Associates, GTA, a large wholesale tour operator. And it was here when I would meet with hotels on a regular basis, and we would talk about, you know, their strategies and their objectives. And in most cases, one of their main objectives was to try and increase their direct bookings and reduce their distribution costs. And at the same time, I realized that a lot of these properties weren't actually answering their reviews for whatever reason. And I thought that surely there is a link, that if I could help them answer their reviews, this could also help towards them increasing their direct bookings. And so I started Reviews for You. And our mission is, it's quite simple. It's basically to help you make money. And we do this by writing powerful and effective replies to your reviews with a twist, which I've taken from Robin, because he liked what I do. He thinks it's, well, replying to your reviews and with a twist. I hope you don't mind me borrowing that from you, Robin. So I thought it would be good to start by having a think about why people post reviews in the first place. So one of the reasons, these aren't in any particular order, but one of the reasons people post reviews is to serve as a warning. Maybe they've not had a good experience, maybe they weren't happy with the outcome, maybe they're looking for compensation, but they're telling people that this is what happened to me. If you stay in this hotel or eat in this restaurant, then it could happen to you too. Another reason is to help others make better buying decisions. So by sharing their experience, they're saying to people, this is what happened to us. Hopefully this will influence you to make the right decision, whether to book this particular hotel or restaurant. One of the main reasons though is that people post reviews because they really want to say thank you and show their appreciation. They enjoyed their stay or they enjoyed their meal, and by publicly thanking the property and trying to stimulate business towards that establishment, they're showing their appreciation. Another reason is that they really want to help a property. So if they've left a 4-star review because they felt that there weren't enough hot items on the breakfast buffet, or perhaps they had to queue too long to get a table, then these are all things that the hotel or restaurant can use to maybe tweak so that the next response, the next review they get will be more positive. And another reason is that people like to feel heard. So they feel that review sites are like a community. If you see some people post 20, 30, 40 reviews, and they also want to feel that their experience and their knowledge is being appreciated and also being recognized. So now, more importantly, why is responding to reviews good for business? So the main reason is because it helps to increase sales. So I've looked into this, obviously it's my business. And what I find quite amazing is that review sites, when you respond to your reviews on review sites, it's free. So the information that you put in there, it doesn't cost any money. But yet most properties, restaurants, or businesses in general don't really use this opportunity to do any marketing. So you can always use review sites to promote your Christmas package, which is what we were talking about earlier, or maybe you want to offer a stay 5, pay for 4. Why not include these in your responses? The same for direct bookings. Obviously, on the OTA sites, you can't reference direct bookings, but on Google and TripAdvisor, who both have, I think Google has over 3 billion hotel searches a month. Why not say book 5 nights, book direct, stay 5 nights and get a free breakfast. So now you're driving direct bookings and a longer length of stay. So responding to reviews, of course, it builds customer loyalty. You're showing the guests that you care about their feedback. And also this means that, they will be more keen to come back because it shows that you appreciate their custom as well. And as it's been mentioned before, it costs up to 4 times more to attract new business than it does to retain existing customers. And they also tend to spend more. So responding to reviews also improves your visibility on Google-related search engines. The more content that is written about your property, the more visible you'll be on Google. And also, the more active you are on Google, it triggers their algorithms. And this also means that your visibility will be improved. We've all seen the Google advertisement. They spent obviously millions of pounds, telling people to leave a review and support your local business. But businesses can also obviously help themselves by actually responding to these reviews, because this means, again, greater content and more visibility. So another reason why you should respond to your reviews is because, of course, it will protect your brand and your reputation. An unanswered negative review can cost you up to 22% of potential business. So, and right now, you know, people are looking, as we were speaking before, maybe people are looking for where to stay in February. People are stuck at home dreaming of going on holiday. And so the first place that people do their research is on review sites. And, you know, if you spent money upgrading your product, making sure that you've got an exciting, appealing menu, you've painted the exterior of your property, you know, you're training your staff, and yet people will go onto the review sites and they notice that you're not bothering to reply. They don't know the reasons why, but you know, as we all know, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And it's never too late to respond to your reviews. So at the moment, maybe you're closed, or maybe you're not getting a lot of business, or you're not getting a lot of reviews. But the most recent reviews that you know that the people are seeing could be from last week. They could be from 6 months ago if you haven't been open. So now you've got the time on your hands, and hopefully, you know, you realise the benefits. It really is quite important to update your reviews as much as possible. So what to include in your replies? So this might seem quite basic information, but I'm astounded at how many replies don't include most of this information. So if somebody, you know, puts a review and their name is Joanne, then obviously it's nice to start Dear Joanne and not Dear Valuable Guest, which so many, you know, businesses do. It's good to refer to comments in the review because it shows that, you know, it's a personalized response and not an automated response. And also if somebody's chosen to, you know, celebrate a birthday or an anniversary, then you should, you know, it's nice to acknowledge that they've, you know, that they've chosen your property to spend this special occasion in. Marketing, as I've said already, marketing should also be included in your responses where applicable. You know, if somebody is writing a scathing reply, the last thing you really want to do is be promoting other aspects of it because it doesn't seem genuine. But as much as possible, include marketing in your replies. And the other thing that astounds me is that many people just don't bother to leave a contact name, email, or telephone number in their replies. And if you want to stimulate, you know, direct bookings, and you've got all these people looking at review sites, you know, if there's a phone number or an email address in your response, then they can just contact you really easily. You know, we want things to be easy. We don't want to have to navigate the internet to try and find an email address or a telephone number. Oh, sorry, I've done that too soon. Hotel name, try and include your hotel name in your replies so that if somebody does search for your specific hotel, then it's linked to all this positive content. And obviously don't include it in negative reviews because otherwise, you know, negative content will be linked to your hotel. And as much as possible, try and use key search words in your responses. So let's say you're a city centre hotel in Birmingham with a rooftop swimming pool, you know, it might be good where feasible to include this kind of information. Maybe you've got a spa or a Michelin star restaurant. You know, this kind of information, again, it has to be applicable, you know, relevant rather. This is all stuff that needs to really be in your thought process when responding to your replies. So I thought I'd bring up an example of a hotel that's not in the UK. So this hotel is in India. It's a review that Rajiv has left on TripAdvisor. So this guest spent their birthday in this hotel. They were upgraded to a suite. They ate at the cafe, they had drinks at the bar, and everything was lovely. This is the hotel's response. So no name, just valued guest. And on the face of it, it doesn't look like such a bad response, but if you do look at it, like I would, it's not a personalized response, it's a generic reply. So there are some good points like, you know, book through our website, but then there's no website detail. So how are they supposed to find it? And now this slide would be a better response. So we've included the name of the guest, obviously. We've acknowledged that, you know, they've taken the time to review their stay. We've mentioned the hotel name here. We're acknowledging that they chose to celebrate with us and that they enjoyed their complimentary upgrade. And what this one sentence does, it basically promotes the fact that you've got other room types, and that maybe to those who are reading, if they do want to come and celebrate an occasion in this hotel, the chances are that they may not, it's not guaranteed, but they may get an upgrade. They also reiterated that the guest had a dinner in the cafe and a drink, and that the staff looked after them, and that the staff are, you know, this property is renowned for their staff, which is also a form of promotion. And they've also added the fact that they have another restaurant, so they're promoting their other restaurant, but it's all in context. And then there's call to action on here to recommend us to your friends and family, and we look forward to welcoming you back. So at the bottom, this is where the action is. So we've got the name of the director. This is all obviously made up, but there's an email address here. There's a telephone number, so it's easy to make a call if they decide they like the idea of staying here. And website addresses aren't possible, so you have to be more creative with how you include your website. And then at the bottom, we highlight the special offer of, you know, the day, the month, whatever. So in this case, we are delighted to offer our in-house guests free car parking and use of the spa. So this highlights that we have a car park and a spa. And for those guests who book directly and stay for at least 4 nights, we invite you to a free dinner in Cafe Pride. So this is doing a multiple number of jobs. It's promoting direct bookings, it's promoting longer stays, and it's promoting their cafe. So obviously, if you were to take such time to write such detailed replies, it is of course time consuming. And so this is how Reviews for You can help you with your reviews. So by outsourcing to us, obviously it saves time, which you can use to focus more on your guests. And obviously, the better the guest experience, the better the reviews. Plus, you know, during times of turmoil, you know, you can rest assured that your reviews are still being managed. And also standing out from the crowd, obviously now there's a lot more demand, there's a lot more supply than demand. So it's important to stand out from the crowd, especially when your competitors are more than likely either not responding to their reviews or responding generically and robotically. So, you know, we make sure that we use certain words and marketing to increase your visibility, your revenue, and generate sales. But we also offer analysis and competitive benchmarking, which basically tells you how you're performing and what the guests are saying about your property. But it also includes how your competitors are performing and what the guests are saying about their property. So this does a couple of things, one of which it kind of allows you to make that decision on what you should be investing in, what the guest wants you to invest in, which will lead to a better experience and therefore better reviews. And also when you know that what your competitors' weaknesses are, it can help you to maybe plan some marketing activity around their weaknesses. So I think I've covered most of it. If you've got any questions, you know, please ask or please reach out to me if you think that we can help you in any way. That's it.
Sorry, Joanne, my link dropped for a moment there, so I don't know if you covered it. I mean, I think in terms of reviews, there's 4 different types of people, and you've got your active detractors. And your loyal raving fans up the top of the XY. And then you've got your silent customers and your satisfied customers at the bottom end of the scale. And I think it's human nature when you look at reviews, maybe it's just me, I always go and look at the bad ones first and see what people are saying and ascertaining whether they're genuine ones and genuine cause of concerns, or whether a competitor's doing it or just somebody that really doesn't like the individuals involved. How would you encourage the silent customers, who are very important in terms of getting a level playing field, to leave reviews and tackle your very low vocal active detractors?
I think that, well, there are a lot of companies where you can, reputation management companies that will help you send automated, emails to your guests who who've checked out, asking them to post a review. At the end of the day, if you don't ask, you don't get. Or maybe leave something in the room asking them to fill out a form of a questionnaire. And if you want them to put it publicly, you have to ask. I don't think there's any big science, but assuming when they've checked out that they have enjoyed their stay, then as I said, send them a follow-up email asking them to leave a review on TripAdvisor, if that's the review site of your choice. Obviously we can't force them to do that, but that's probably the easiest and the best way. And the other thing is that we're in the industry, so maybe it's easy for you to notice that somebody has a vendetta against you. But when we look at the bigger scheme of things, people are genuinely looking at review sites for information, and they don't necessarily know that somebody is a serial negative review writer. It's very, very difficult to get these negative reviews removed from the sites. So the best thing that you can do is answer them and not be defensive, which is, where third parties can also help. But they do say that 22%, an unanswered negative review can cost up to 22% of potential business. But when you answer the review, the other thing which I didn't mention is that really, yes, we are saying thank you to the guests. It's very important to acknowledge everything that they've written, but we are really focusing our response on people who haven't yet stayed with us, your future guests. So you do have to answer these negative reviews very diplomatically and calmly. I don't know if that helps, if that answers your question at all, but
yeah, it does. Thanks, Joe.
I hope a little bit.
All right.
I would add one word of warning: never offer anybody on a negative review something publicly.
No, exactly.
The other negative reviewers will just take it and want the same and everything. So it's
exactly, or people will enjoy their stay, then they think that if they write a negative review anyway, they can get something out of it. So that's what I'm saying. They are looking for compensation, but no, you shouldn't really acknowledge that. Yes, you can acknowledge the fact that maybe their experience wasn't as they had hoped, but you shouldn't really say, oh yes, it was our fault because of X, Y, and Z. That opens up a whole can of worms, doesn't it?
Just Joanne, just a question. Do you think if there is a negative review, do you think there is room in actually going to them privately, trying to allay their complaints, etc., in the hope that they might take the review away? Is that a possibility?
Well, no. I think that if they're going to post a negative review, you would hope that they would have discussed this in advance and that they've tried to come to a solution. So I guess it means that they've exhausted all their options, and this is kind of a last resort. But the other thing, interestingly enough, is that establishments that have anything between like 4 and 4.7, these kind of establishments do really well, because you don't want to remove negative reviews, because if you do look at a restaurant or a hotel that's only got positive reviews, and of course it can happen, but generally if you look at something that's only positive, there's a little bit of mistrust there. It's not bad having a negative review, and obviously if you answer it in a certain manner, you can turn things completely around. So it's all, somebody says thank you, we had a great stay, and you say you're welcome, we'll book you this wonderful restaurant next time. That's all well and good. But if somebody says, we were slightly disappointed about this, and there was no hot water, sometimes you can turn it around in their favor. But that's not to say that you shouldn't also, phone them and contact them directly. In fact, what you should probably do is phone them directly, see, how you've resolved it over the phone, and then say that following your telephone call, we are delighted to say that, we've resolved the issue. And then people also see, oh, they really took it seriously because they've actually phoned the person. So you need to turn, you need to turn the negative and work with it, in your favor.
Hi, Joanne. Great presentation. I had an experience with somebody that came for an anniversary dinner at the hotel. It was where they got married before we took over. They said nothing at the time. I courtesy checked them and everything, but they wrote a bad review. But because it was their anniversary and we couldn't take it back, I just did a generic reply, but I sent them flowers because I had their address or their telephone number, worked it out. And she actually removed the review once she got the flowers.
Oh, she did. It's not that easy to remove reviews, and that's perfect and that's wonderful. But the generic, I don't like generic. But as I said, when you answer reviews, you've got to also think about the hundreds or thousands of people that are also, they don't know that you've done that, do they? And it's such a lovely gesture. They've just seen, as you said, a generic reply. So it just, the thing is, what I find about reviews is that, it's the marketing is free. There's so much you can do. And I know that people are busy or they haven't got the staff at the moment and things. But this is why I say our mission is to help you make money, because I really do believe that if you answer your reviews in the right way, it really will, you will see a return of interest. You will see an increase in direct bookings. But if somebody is complaining about your breakfast buffet or about your receptionist and you don't do anything about it, then obviously, it won't improve. But if you take, and obviously, if somebody says, oh, the hotel's tired, we're not saying, spend 10 million renovating the hotel. But some of the things that people are saying, some of the feedback, it will only contribute to you being more successful. And I do believe that, these upgraded room types, I hope I'm wrong, but in many cities, hotels aren't going to be fully booked for the next, year or two. So, these little things make a big difference. These guys commented about the fact that they got an upgrade to a suite. So all these little things, they do make a big difference. Attention to detail can make a big difference.
Can I make a comment on this? We owned a hotel restaurant for a long time, and we started at the dawn of TripAdvisor when that was just new. And when the TripAdvisor reviews started trickling in the beginning, we were either elated about having great reviews or the occasional bad reviews. We would spring into action and try and write long responses to it, change our operations. And we just felt that this was actually using our resources in the wrong place. And what we did is we surveyed all of our customers. So we started surveying everybody in the hotel and in the restaurant. And in 5 years, we got 50,000 surveys. But very early in the process, we realized most people, surprisingly, were giving us their contact details, whether they were a walk-in in the restaurant, and of course we had them in the hotel. So we started writing to all of our survey responders rather than posting any replies on the internet, unless there was a material issue to address. So for example, someone said the breakfast buffet was cold, and it was cold, okay, we got to work on fixing our breakfast buffet. But we wrote to all of our customers, and then all of our positive reviewers for our personal, our own surveys, we started nudging them to review us on TripAdvisor and Google. And the number of our reviews trebled at least, and they were all positive, and made a completely radical difference to our business is just by nudging the reviews. So every one of us in our businesses, we've got a limited amount of resources, whether that resource is time or money. And I think getting the information firsthand rather than from the review sites, and then using that information to nudge positive reviews is what really made the fantastic improvement to our reviews and our business. And we almost never responded to any reviews.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, that's an excellent, obviously solution to how you can improve the number of reviews you get and the number of positive reviews that you get, obviously. Are you saying that you still don't answer these reviews?
Well, sold that business now. I'm doing something different in hospitality. But no, we didn't. We only. I'll give you examples of when we would respond. Somebody complained bitterly that we wouldn't serve their son alcohol, and he said it was his legal right, and the son was 16 years old. So we would go on and explain how the licensing law works and how we make our own policies and et cetera. So that, even though they gave us a 1-star review, most of the comments on that was, this is a very positive response to the review, and people disagree with the reviewers, and etc.
Yeah.
But if somebody said, oh, the breakfast buffet or the breakfast arrived cold, we go to the kitchen and say, are the plates being heated up? Are we, and respond to it internally, rather than, you know, I think that as you've pointed out, it really detracts to have, you know, dozens of management responses saying, I'm really sorry you didn't enjoy your breakfast. We'll try harder next time.
Yeah.
But we really focused on addressing the problem in the operation, if there was a problem, and having enough positive reviews to push those negative reviews off the top of the page and increase the score on our part. And that seemed to be a better use of our resources, because, you know, crafting, as you well know, a really good response to management response takes a lot of time and effort. And that's why, you know, your service is invaluable, because I also know that my managers who worked with me, not all of them were as literate as I would have wanted them to be in making a management response. And I, you know, to be honest with you, if I knew you existed when I had the hotel, I would probably want to add on your services to it, because that would be a tremendous icing on the cake of how
I don't know, Dave. Dave Kelly and I have never met, by the way. So I've never met before in my life.
But on
Thanks,
the other
Dave.
hand, if I had a choice of whether spending my management time on crafting these really good review responses or working on my operation, I would go first get the source material from the customers directly and action that, rather than focus on the reviews. For me, a review is kind of like a result. And I think if you get too obsessed on the reviews, it's kind of the tail wagging the dog, where the real information is surveying, talking, analyzing the data on your customers, because a very, very small minority of your customers actually review. So we had about 15% of our customers who were completing our survey, which I understand is quite high. But maybe if you look at the reviews, less than 1% would do the reviews. And I think there are, as you said, professional moaners out there who just like to have a pulpit, a bully pulpit. But being able to focus our positive customers and nudge them to review us would just move those people way off the radar.
Excellent. Thank you, David. I think, yes, that's why also it's good to actually send something out to these clients to actually encourage them to do those reviews. Interesting what you said about language, because I used to work in Spain for 16 years, and it was amazing the amount of reviews that got written that actually didn't make much sense, because the Spanish person who was writing it actually wasn't very good at English. So yeah, it's a good idea to have somebody who actually speaks a language well as well. Anybody else have anything, or shall we move on?
No, I think it's brilliant. Yeah, makes sense. No brainer.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, Joanne. If you can pop off the screen share now. So excellent presentation. I think it's all good advice. A quick plug, because it's Christmas, I'm going to do a competition. I obviously appreciate everybody who's a supporter to hotels who's on the webinar. And I think that's what makes it so informative to the hoteliers who are on the webinar. I set out the webinar originally to actually support hoteliers across the country, to give them a good advice, to give them access to other professionals who they didn't have to employ full time, and actually could give them an excellent service. And I think we're getting there. I just noticed we've not got enough hoteliers for my liking, I suppose I'd say. So I'm going to run a little competition. I'm going to say that anybody who can invite a hotelier or a hotel owner or somebody of importance within the actual hotel operations to the next two webinars, and they attend, then whoever invites the most gets a £50 voucher. So that's the Christmas competition. So anybody out there who knows hoteliers, knows people who own hotels, or would appreciate the forum, please feel free to invite them. Make sure I know you've invited them, and we'll see who can win the contest. And now moving straight on. Obviously, a lot of people are in a sticky position at the moment where they can't be thinking of investing money into their hotels or anything like that. But at the same time, it is an ideal moment for people to actually do just that if they have access to finance or cash flow. And I often remember, I always I read an article once that said about 60 to 70 people look for a spa when they're choosing their hotel to go on holiday, and then only about 30% of them actually use the thing. So even if it's not actually for them to use it, it's often quite good to be able to have access to a spa, to a gym, or whatever on your property, especially if you're a leisure hotel. And with that, I'm going to invite to talk Selina, who will give us some ideas on spa development and gyms.
Lovely, thank you. And I'm just going to share my screen as well. Get it organised. Where am I? There we go. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So you're absolutely right. Health and wellness is a profitable business strategy for hotels, and that Dean and I, so Dean Thornton is also on the call today. He's a managing director of DDI Projects with over 30 years experience in construction. He's a seasoned contracts manager. He's got extensive experience of delivering complex construction outcomes across leisure, retail and commercial sectors. And that within the leisure sector, we actually deliver spas and gyms for boutique gym owners as well as national brands such as David Lloyd Leisure. I'm Selina Bolton. My experience is much more on the investment banking side and consultancy, so leading large organisational changes, and I'm working with DDI Projects in order to actually take them to the next level of their growth. And today what we'd like to do is actually, let me just get that, there we go. So in terms of construction, we cover, as a principal contractor, all aspects of build. So we will work with you from site advisory, so looking at the potential of your sites, right the way through to the planning, to the cost and budget planning, right the way through to the detailing and the construction and delivery. And as Robin mentioned, nowadays a gym and spa is often considered to be an integral part of an overall hotel experience. And there are many surveys, just like Robin mentioned, where there are significant statistics saying that people who are looking for hotels, whether they actually use all of the facilities or not, actually are far more likely to actually pick a hotel that actually has a gym or a spa facility attached to it. And actually what we're seeing is that also hotels that are out of town are possibly offering the only membership services for gyms and pools within at least a 25-mile radius. So there are opportunities in order to have more continuous revenue streams from those facilities. And what we're seeing certainly through COVID and like the growth and the focus on wellness this year is that wellness tourism and health and wellness is the fastest growing segment within global tourism. And over the next 10 years, it's predicted that traditional spa offerings will actually emerge to actually give a much more holistic experience to customers. So in terms of the business case is pretty compelling for actually having spa and gym facilities, and actually also enhancing your existing hotel facilities and even bedrooms in order to actually factor in that wellness aspect. So it can create competitive advantage, certainly if you've actually got more current spa facilities than your local competitors. It puts you on the map in terms of a destination, it increases the guest experience. It can actually enable you to actually drive up your daily rates, your revenue and your profit. I just mentioned about the membership scheme. What we're seeing, certainly in terms of our engagement with hoteliers and with other club owners, such as golf clubs, is that they're starting to actually build membership facilities so that they're actually having year-round recurring revenue based on membership principles, not just relying on guest usage of occupancy. And it can also raise the value of your property. So if you've got grounds and that you can actually either add an extension to your property, or you can actually convert a basement in your property, or you can revamp the existing space that you've actually got within your property, it can certainly raise the value of it. So what we'd like to do now, and I'm going to hand over to Dean, we're going to share with you 3 case studies of projects that we've actually delivered at DDI Projects. We're going to look at, some of them are quite large schemes. So one's actually going to look at an elite luxury spa that we actually created, and we created a blueprint that could actually be rolled out across the whole of the UK and also some of the European resorts for this client. We also, the second one then looks at converting an existing vacant space. So this happened to be a vacant tube station in central London. And then a third one was actually looking at repurposing a basement, quite a complex build. So over to you, Dean.
Okay. Good morning, all. Thanks, Lena. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to briefly talk through these, the 3 projects that DDI have completed, and I'm going to start with the Royal Berkshire project. So the Royal Berkshire project was an extension and a refurbishment of existing club to create this luxurious internal spa and external spa and the external pool. So at the rear of the facility, there was 2 external tennis courts, which was removed to make way for this new spa facility. So all the facilities we discussed today were all built within the demise of these the two tennis courts. So the works included, to the rear of the building, we built a steel frame extension which housed the internal spa. And within the internal wet spa, there was a fantastic salt sauna, a hemlock warm finish sauna, an 8x4 hydro pool, Japanese salt steam room, a relax steam area, heated beds, relax area, deep relax area, feature shower, plunge pools, etc. Now, all those items I've just mentioned were all within the extension that we built. Also in the area of the 2 tennis courts, we created an outdoor swimming pool, which is a 25 by 8 meter swimming pool, which also had a kids pool within that area. And then obviously with sun beds and sun lounges around the pool and all the landscaping. Also, again, within the tennis court area, we created an external spa garden. Now within that spa garden, we had another hydro pool, an external sauna, shower, plant room, decking area, seating areas, and also a central fire pit. So I think looking at the, if you take a look at the pictures which are on the screen now, so one of the top left-hand pictures is another relax area and massage beds. The middle picture from the top there, that is obviously the external pool we created and a lounge area overlooking the pool. Top right-hand picture is obviously a gym refurbishment we did, and bottom left is a relax steam room, and then in the central we have like a pod relax room, which is hanging pods, which people hang in the pods and get in the pods. And then you'll see from the external garden spa, you'll see a jacuzzi in the background. The lady sat around the fire pit, and then the timber building on the right there is the sauna and also a sunbed lounge area. So that project in Royal Berkshire, that was 22 number weeks. We did that in 2018 and 2019. The project value for that, I mean, it is a big spa area. The project for that was the project value was 2.4 million. This was a full design and build package. To breaking that 2.4 million down, the 1.2 million of that was building the new steel frame extension and fitting out all the finishes inside, which is approximately 400 square meters of an area. 275,000 was the external spa area, which was the jacuzzi, the steam, the fire pit, and the sun lounges. And then 900K was for the external pool, the kids' pool, and the external pool, and the landscaping and lounge areas. So that project, from me visiting site from day one, having a rough concept design of what they wanted. So from when we visited that site to actually starting putting a shovel in the ground, that was 16-week period. for the design and agreeing finances. So from day one, from visiting site to actually putting a shovel in the ground, that was 16 weeks pre-contract period. And during this time, the leisure club stayed open throughout the whole process. So that was a large spa project. Then we did a tri-fit, which is in Cally Road, which is in central London. Now this is a smaller gym. This was a fit out of a redundant first floor above Caledonian Road Tube Station. Now the first floor of this building, when we went to view this, it was in a mess. You know, the ceiling, it was just a mess. So we obviously, to try and use some of the existing finishes, you know, to save money, you know, it was a real deep clean, making repairs to ceilings and soffits, and then respraying them and reusing them rather than putting all new ceilings throughout, costing money. It was an urban feel of a gym, so we went with an exposed services again, you know, with a bit of coordination and design work, reducing having put in ceilings throughout. So it's, like I say, it was a smaller gym. Now within this gym, you've got an entrance, reception, a spin zone, a hit zone, a gym, a communal locker, shower areas, boxing zone, and toilets. And the client was keen to create a friendly and supportive workout space for everyone to feel welcome to train and work out. Much smaller spaces created for working out rather than working out in front of loads of open space and an open gym. So it's yeah, more a cozier gym to work in and train in. So the site restraints, working above a tube station and dealing with Transport London has its challenges, and site access was tough on this project as well, working on a red route as well, getting deliveries in and out. So the project size was 310 meters squared. The project value was 300,000. We completed this in 7 weeks, and we completed this back in we'll complete that this year in 2020. Now the owner of there is selling various memberships. You can have a pay-as-you-go membership, you can pay-as-you-go class membership, or pay-as-you-go to use a gym, or you can have a standard all-inclusive memberships where everything is available. So that was tri-fit. And then finally, my third one, we did, this is Gym Box Victoria. We did 2 gym boxes in Victoria, and they're both within 50 square meters of each other. The first gym we did was such a success, they obviously then bought another gym as well, another unit in a basement just around the corner. So the first one we did, Victoria 1, was an old car park. Again, it literally was a mess of an old car park. And this was awarded to us on a tender. So the project size for the first one, it was 1,300 square meters at 1.7 million cost, and the duration, we did that in 11 weeks. And gym box is a very raw and hard urban feel. Again, when you're working in basements in London, you've got shallow ceiling heights. So again, we went with no ceilings, exposed surfaces, I should say. So again, coordination and the finish of the surfaces was key to maintaining this fantastic gym. And then Project Victoria 2, again, another one in a basement. Again, we had to use structural works cut into the basement to get access. This was a bigger gym. This was 2,435 meter square gym. It was £2.5 million costs. Now we tendered this again, and the tender and the project period you had to be done in 22 weeks. We managed to win the tender and then complete this job in 16 weeks. So we did it 6 weeks quicker for the client, also allowing him to get members in and getting the gym open quicker. So the facilities within these gyms, receptions, 4 sets of male and female changing showers, toilets, spinning studios, multi-purpose studios, mind and body studios, cardio areas, free weights areas, punch bags, stretch areas, boxing rings, free weights areas, and bike areas and functional space. Now the gym box feel, although they're an urban feel, they are a fantastic finish and a great gym to use. And again, we try to use, you'll see from the Victoria one, the picture on your left hand side, we left a wall that is in a very poor state. We cleaned it and we sprayed it with colors rather than replastering everything. We'd like to use the existing finishes. The ceilings, again, it was a clean and a spray. to use those existing ceilings. And you'll see again the boxing ring, the existing concrete floors. Rather than put flooring finish down, we got polishers in and we polished the concrete to create to create a finished floor. So that's the 3 projects we did. I'll say the Victoria ones and the Cali Road were all in London, in basements and difficult sites, but these sites were in areas like a car park or a storage facility that wasn't being used. There was areas within their existing demise that they weren't using, and we managed to turn them into gyms. And obviously they're now creating memberships and money and memberships. So I think that's it from me. My brief description of those 3 jobs. Is there any questions you'd like to ask, or?
I guess what we wanted to share with you all was the fact that repurposing existing space is a great way of being able to create room for facilities that can really, boost the facilities within your hotel and the attraction of your hotel. And that we work very much with the branding and the aesthetic. So we can certainly, we have clients that look for a luxury, an elite aesthetic, and then we also have clients that actually are looking for that raw urban feel that really gives an edge to their premises. So in terms of, I have a question for you all, is that do you have facilities already within your gyms, within your hotels?
I do. So I'm just outside of Bath, so not a million miles from yourselves in Dorset, to be honest. We've got golf course, gym, sauna, steam and jacuzzi, and planning permission for a new one. So a chat might be quite useful.
Oh, well, definitely. And so do you have membership in addition to your guests that's using the facilities?
Yeah, we've been doing that for about 20 years.
Yeah. And is that, do you actually track, the fact that profitability of that and it in terms of a revenue stream?
It's a huge part of the hotel for us, yeah.
Well, great. Well, yes, Mark, let's have a conversation.
That'd be really helpful. I'll ping you an email.
Okay, great.
I think also that I know that the projects we discussed, there's obviously high value projects there, but we've done smaller jobs from 30, 40,000 up to 5 million. So with those 3 examples, so there is, there are, if you've got small space where in small areas in your hotels that you can use a very smaller gym, maybe a little spinning room or just a little free weights area. These are all very easy and quick areas you can turn into, to a very smaller gym style. These are just examples of what we've done, but you can do smaller gyms as well, in much smaller areas.
I would agree. I think any space can be converted into something which is a benefit of a hotel if it's run well. Yeah, a lot of hotels have gyms and they think it's just for the guests, but actually they could benefit from local people actually using them and paying a fee. And a good spa, if run well, will generate good profit. It just has to be run well. It does, and has to have the backing of a good company who will do the treatments and everything, because they often say actually the money you make out of the treatments is from the retail of those products. So if you get a good spa and they're pushing the products that they're actually using on the clients, you can make some good profit out of even the smallest couple of cubicles or whatever. I was in one hotel where we had a plan to do a spa that had sort of like all the things and the relaxations area, because it had to go up a level. It was a typical hotel that lived for summer and then died for winter, and the only way we could get that hotel to be an all-round venue was to make it a venue where people would come, and rather than and then spend half their day in the spa or in the swimming pool or in the gym or just relaxing, rather than actually even having to go out of the hotel, and that generated a whole new market of people to stay for that hotel in the winter time, which otherwise just didn't exist. So I can totally recommend if there's ways around it.
Well, if you would like to, we're launching a new website at the end of this week, and that if you would actually like to see, our brochure, then happily share that with you as well. Just drop us an email. I'll put our contact details in the chat.
Yeah, and as usual, Selena, send me the presentation, and I'll include it in the summary that's going around afterwards.
We opened a spa last August, and we found it's really brought down the average age of our guests down, which is great. We've gone from the 70 plus here for dinner, bed and breakfast to we're hitting that 50 plus market now, which apparently have all the money, and it's been wonderful. So people are spending more. Or when we were open, spending the bar's gone up. People are buying slightly more expensive champagnes. It's been a really good facility for us to have. It's just a shame, it was closed for half the year last year.
But I'm sure it'll bring you great benefits once we get out of the current situation.
I think that's a really smart observation as well, is the fact that wellness and health and fitness is very much it's going to be a focus for everybody for sure, certainly coming out of COVID. Actually recognizing how important that is as an aspect in our lives, but also as travelers, there are demographics that really have this greater expectation of actually being able to access health and fitness facilities wherever they are.
Good. Right. Anybody else have any questions or any comments? We're in a strange position today. We've actually finished at 11 o'clock. It's a record for me. Usually we go over to about 11:15, but today we managed to keep it in time. Anybody else got any comments to add before we sign off? Just comment that Tim Seward from Bournemouth was commenting on the chat in private. A couple of hotels in Bournemouth, one that was an ex-Shearings and another one, they're getting they're being sold on to new operators who are planning to redevelop those properties and move them forward. So it's like I've always said, I think although this whole period is being tough, I think the business, the industry will come out of it stronger, and there'll be better opportunities once these hotels get bought up and start to thrive again, and those who have survived it will be stronger for what it is. So there's always got to be a silver lining in every cloud, I think.
Yes, there is, and the end is in sight, isn't it, Robin?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for another meeting, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much, everybody who presented. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Robin. Cheers.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you.